Well, well, well. Thank you for absolutely nothing, Green Bay. And maybe I shouldn't say thank you for nothing. I said when this first happened, this trade for Micah Parsons and the Green Bay Packers, those draft picks may absolutely turn out to be better than anyone imagined. And I'm just telling you, if it's me, Matt LaFleur is on the hottest of hot seats. With this trade and you're 5-3-1, this is going to turn out good, I guess, for the Cowboys. Either way, I guess it turned out good either way you look at it. But as far as this season goes, they definitely didn't help out the Cowboys. Let's talk Cowboys. We're about to talk facts. Yeah, let's go. It is Cowboys After Dark. It's been a minute, but it's Cowboys After Dark, y'all. What is going on? We gonna finish our conversation from today, and we gonna talk about these Green Bay Packers and Micah Parsons. Welcome, Cowboy fans and Cowboy haters alike. I'm the G, and I'm the host of Let's Talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. And as you come into this live stream, please hit that like button, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know the next time we post another video or go live, and we are live. And if you haven't become a channel member subscriber yet, please do. We got a lot more things coming up this season. Now let's talk facts. You know, I can get that people say it was a defensive game. I can get with that. But I also believe we are watching some very poor quarterback play from Jordan Love. We're watching some very poor quarterback play, and nobody wants to acknowledge it. Jordan Love isn't playing that good. I mean, when you think about the money Jordan Love got and the Green Bay Packers, let me tell you something. We may be looking back on this thing about the Green Bay Packers and realize that they made very bad moves in extending Jordan Love and trading Kenny Clark for Micah Parsons and giving away 2 first round draft picks. I mean, we're just gonna have to call it what it is. But we're gonna finish kind of where we were today. We talked about the 10 things the Cowboys need to do coming out of the bye week. Some of y'all weren't here for that. We may run through that real quick. 10 things. We were at let the Cowboys get help. And I think this is where we're gonna pick back up tonight, is we're gonna start this conversation talking about the Green Bay Packers. And that's also gonna lead us into the conversation about another first round pick for the Cowboys. And then we'll move right into the Cowboys curse before we get out of here tonight. But I'm telling you, man, this Green Bay game, this thing absolutely stunk. Absolutely stunk. I can appreciate the defensive play, but it was just a bunch of bad offensive play out there too. Please, don't fool yourself into thinking that these defenses were just juggernaut defenses and there were monster hits and just great defensive play. No, it was a lot of things where the quarterbacks were off. There were drop passes. I mean, there was all kinds of things in this game. It absolutely stunk. This is the second stinker in a row. I'm telling you, this thing is terrible. All right, so let's get into this. Let's get a quick roll call in here tonight, and then we are going to talk some Cowboys, and I'll be reading y'all comments as we kind of talk about this thing that happened tonight, and then start talking about Cowboys. And man, I'm telling you, we're gonna look at. I'm gonna update everything on it tomorrow. But this thing on the Cowboys, man, about the Cowboys needing help. Boy, these doggone people ain't doing the Cowboys. As far as this season, they ain't doing the Cowboys no good. All right. Let's get a quick roll call, and then we're going to get right into tonight's show. What's going on, Queen? Let's go. Queen, you're exactly right. We got to handle our destiny. Queen, we have to win. As much as it helps us when other teams lose, what we have to do is win so that when those teams do lose, we got to win. Because if we don't, none of it matters in the grand scheme of things. What up, my brother Holman? What's going on? Justin Durham, what's going on? Good to see you tonight. Mills 36, what up with you? What up, boy, brother? Man, yeah, he said we lost to these two teams. Boy, this thing stunk. I'm telling you. And we played both of the teams tough. Mr. Mojo, what up with you tonight? Yeah, it was a stinker. Dolores Ennis in the crib. Welcome to the congregation. What's going on? JCT Slice said, leave it to Micah Parsons to not be able to take the bacon for his team when it matters in the biggest games. Same thing he did in Dallas. Yep. That's one of the things I'm going to talk about. What up, Roy Clay? Yeah, man. Hey, let me tell you, we don't have to win out, I don't think, to win. But the Eagles are virtually, after winning tonight, I believe the Eagles have made it. The Eagles win one more game, and they're going to make it virtually impossible for the Cowboys to even dream about the division. And y'all do know who the Eagles got coming up next week, right? If I'm not mistaken, the Eagles have, we're going to look at it tonight, but if I'm not mistaken, the Eagles have the New York Stinky Giants coming up. And they're going to absolutely obliterate the Giants. And when they win that game, they will all but eliminate the Cowboys from being able to win the division. I'm thinking tonight that Green Bay is going to come out and beat the Eagles, or I was hoping they were going to come out and beat the Eagles. But we'll talk about it. Big Rombowski. Imagine how much more hot LaFleur's seat would be had they lost to Dallas. Hey, I posted it on X, Rombowski. That seat got to be hot right now. And you are right. But hey, hold on, Rombowski. You said imagine had they lost. You want to know why I think that seat is hot still? Because they tied the Cowboys, and everybody sees how bad the Cowboys defense is. Woo, man. What up, real estate vet? Paulos, what up? Let me see here. Jay Smooth in this thing. Randy Cassell, what's going on tonight? Joshua McKeever, what's going on? We them boys in the crib. What up? Poobie D. The Packers gave up 10 points and lost. Poobie D, I said it earlier. Jordan Love is terrible. Parsons and the D did their job. Jordan Love is terrible. But I'm gonna tell you why Jerry Jones. A lot of people may not realize it, but Jerry Jones is right about this Micah Parsons things from this perspective, and I'm going to tell you in a moment. Catlin, what's going on? Richard Owens, what's going on? Gee, this game is proof that we have a chance to make it to the playoffs, but it's going to take them to win without help. It is. They got to get the wild card now. The road we're going is the wild card for sure. What's going on, Seabass? Yeah, we're going through the wild card road. Randy Cassell, Green Bay and Philly are both overrated. Absolute facts. Huskers one table. What's going on with you? The diehard Cowboys fan, this season's over. Not yet. We still in there. It's just going to have to be the wild card is the road we're going to have to take. Because this win tonight kind of sold it up, and then they're playing the Giants next week, and it'll be pretty much over. Chanel said it was a terrible game, and it was not a great defensive game. I said the same thing, Chanel. What we watched was bad offensive play. It was bad offensive play out there all the way around. The announcers had to try and hype up the Monday Night Football garbage game. Jordan Love looked confused in the game. He had 4 yards. He was terrible. In the first quarter, I got you. Yeah, he was terrible. And we already know Jalen Hurts ain't that kind of quarterback. I've already said it before. Jalen Hurts is that kind of quarterback. He'll give you a big-time game about once every 4 games. but he's mostly a below 200 yards passer. That was pretty much him. He had a big-time fumble. Or they probably would have beat the Green Bay Packers even worse. But he kind of took a lot of air out of him when he fumbled the ball. Randy Cassell, what up? Zay33. Robert Simmons in here tonight. What's up? Hail Mary, 4 pockets. Lonnie Cabal. Boy. Okay, wait, it's the Lions next week? Okay, let me look at my schedule. I'm sorry about that. The Lions next week. Well, the Lions may beat them. Maybe I'm mixed up on who the Green Bay Packers is playing next. What's going on, Ronnie Dub? Capone Middleton, what up with you? Green Bay laid an egg for sure. Fat Boy Preach, what up? All right, let's check this thing out. I have these schedules over here. Let me look at the schedules again and see who's up next. But the Eagles, I believe the Eagles have all, but probably, let me tell you, this is going to be one of the easiest years in history for the Eagles to win this division. Okay, I'm sorry. I must be thinking about someone else. I don't know why I said the Giants. Maybe it was because I was thinking about Dayball getting fired and me and my wife was discussing it. So this is what the Eagles have next. They beat the Packers. They're going to get the Lions at home. I will not be surprised if the Lions beat them. I do believe the Cowboys are going to beat them. So, but even then, if you look at it, if they lose to the Lions, even if they lose 2 in a row, they would be 7-4. I believe they beat the Bears at home. That would kick them up to 8-4. Could lose to the Chargers. Even if they did, it would be 8-5. They're going to obliterate the Raiders. That'd be 9-6. They're going to obliterate the Commanders. That would be 10-6. The Bills, I'm not so sure. That'd be at Buffalo. That could be a 9-7. The Commanders, they're going to obliterate. And worst case scenario for the Philadelphia Eagles is a 10-7. So in order for the Cowboys to get 10 wins, the Cowboys would have to literally run the table. They would have to run the table. But 10-7, and you're just thinking about the games that I said they could lose, they may win some of those games. So I definitely see the Eagles somewhere probably around 11 wins, probably 11 wins at the least. 10 would be a miracle. 11 wins at the least, and maybe somewhere around 12 games at the most. 12 games at the most. I see them at about 12-5 if I'm being realistic. I see 12-5. But the Cowboys had a couple of missteps early on. And the missteps the Cowboys had, to me, are very simple. They should have never lost the Carolina Panthers game. And you could pick either two of these or one of the two of these games. They should have never lost to the Carolina Panthers. And then you pick these other two. Never should have lost to the Arizona Cardinals. Never should have lost to the Arizona Cardinals. And I don't think they definitely should have lost to the Chicago Bears. But the Cowboys lost a couple of games. They just basically let a couple of games go that they shouldn't have. Again, Panthers and Arizona stick out in my mind the most. They should have never lost to the Arizona Cardinals in Dallas. And the Carolina Panthers, the Cowboys have had their number for the longest, and we let them slip through the cracks. And so when we think about the Green Bay Packers, they have got to be sick right now. The Green Bay Packers are 5-3-1 with Micah Parsons. And I remember one of their players was actually saying that they have Micah Parsons now. They can go undefeated. How's that went since he said that? Let me tell you why Jerry Jones, a lot of people do not understand that Jerry Jones was right about Micah Parsons. And what do I mean by that? A lot of people can't get through their head. But Jerry Jones really never talked bad about Micah Parsons. Now, I know recently on a podcast he said You know, he didn't like the fact that Micah Parsons laid on that table during the preseason game and some of the shenanigans he was doing over there on the sidelines. Jerry Jones didn't like that. But Jerry Jones never said Micah Parsons was a bad player. He always talked about how great Micah Parsons was and all of these different things. But I think something that Jerry said, and I agree with it even when he said it, the problem with Micah Parsons is Micah Parsons, when he plays against some of the better teams, especially the teams that have the bigger defensive linemen, in particular, the bigger right tackles, man, he gets handled up on. He really does. He gets handled up on. And Green Bay has got some players around him. He gets handled up on. I'm telling you, he does. And while I really can't say the Green Bay defense played well, because I just think it's the Philadelphia Eagles. They just don't score a lot of points. I mean, Jalen Hurts don't light it up. So to hold the Eagles to what they held them to is not really a surprise. But what the travesty is the fact that the Eagles were able to hold them to what they held them to. But the other side of this story is Micah Parsons does not score points. You can't pay $47 million per year for a player that doesn't score points. You can't. And that was the point that Jerry Jones was making. He doesn't score points. Dak Prescott scores points. You can't spend that kind of money. You can't. You have to be an absolute game wrecker. And contrary to what people believe about Micah Parsons is not an absolute game wrecker. Now, here's the part that's bad. But he should be in Green Bay. Green Bay got players. He should be wrecking games in Green Bay. But he's not. Matt LaFleur, for me, is on the hottest of hot seats. Because you can't be 5-3-1. I'm sorry, guys. You don't get to be 5-3-1 with Micah Parsons. Not with me, you don't. You don't get to be 5-3-1. With Micah Parsons, I mean, I'm giving you right now, you should have maybe, what, 1 or 2 losses? Guys, think about the teams the Green Bay Packers have lost to. The Cleveland Browns? The Carolina Panthers? And then, now the Eagles are different. But man, you lost 2 games you shouldn't have lost. Cleveland? There's no way. There's no way you lose to Cleveland. Carolina? No way. No way you lose to Carolina. And then you come out at home against a Philadelphia Eagle team that everybody knows they're not going to put up a lot of points on you. You telling me that you allowed the Eagles to beat you? Jerry was right. Jerry never said Micah Parsons was a bad player. Jerry was saying something that and these people who, the front office love our guys. And then they're the same ones that love our guys. They're the same ones that can't let certain players go. And they just lose their minds when these certain players aren't here or whatever the case may be. But I'm telling you right now, I think we're going to look up about 2 years from now. We're going to realize something. The Micah Parsons trade may very well have been the Herschel Walker Jr. trade. And what I mean by Herschel Walker Jr., Jerry is already turning this into something that we would have never imagined. They got Kenny Clark, and now they have Quinnen Williams. They already had signed also Diggy Zua. We'll see how that turns out. But I can tell you this. We're gonna see a point in this season where we're gonna look at this Cowboys defense. And a lot of the things we said early on about this defense and this team, we're going to change our entire perspective on what this defense is. Quinnen Williams is an absolute game wrecker. I said it before, I'm going to tell you again. There is nothing better than having elite defensive tackle play. When you have elite defensive tackle play, you destroy teams. You know how I know? Anybody who watched the game tonight, did you see what the Eagles were doing to Jordan Love? That push up the middle by Jalen Carter is nerve-wracking. You don't get to step up in the pocket when you got Jalen Carter. You don't get to do that. You got to find a way to get out of that, or you're getting sacked. It is more advantageous to your team to have good edge rushers and elite defensive tackle play. It is more advantageous for your team to have that. And as much as people laughed at Jerry Jones because the Kenny Clark thing, people said, oh, well, the Cowboys said they were going to stop the run, and they didn't stop the run. Well, people didn't watch the tape. They're not understanding why the Cowboys aren't stopping the run. The reason why the Cowboys were not stopping the run a couple of weeks after they got Kenny Clark is because the Carolina Panthers exposed the Dallas Cowboys. I believe it was the Carolina Panthers. Some of it was the Jets, but it was the Carolina Panthers who just totally exposed it. Double team the tackles on the Dallas Cowboys, and you can run right through them. Now, also Diggy Zua never was an elite defensive tackle. Good defensive tackle, not elite. Kenny is a great defensive tackle. Kenny is a defensive tackle. Quinnen Williams is an elite defensive tackle. And so when you even think about the Green Bay Packers right now, honestly, think about what they're missing. Green Bay doesn't have the great push up the middle anymore. Green Bay don't have that anymore. They don't have a ferocious push up the middle. They're trying to move Micah Parsons around. They're trying to use him like a chess piece. When the reality is, even though they got other defensive players on that team that are pretty good, let me tell you something. Edge rushers, they look different when they got great defensive tackles. Shoot, they look different when they got great defensive tackles because the middle will push those quarterbacks out and around, or they'll try to get around the edge. And if you got a guy like Micah Parsons that can really run after the quarterback, well, Micah Parsons, a player like that, can get to a quarterback sometimes like that. But I'm just telling you. And Jalen Hurts is a different animal anyway. He's a very good runner of the ball. And so Michael got after him a couple of times, but he really couldn't get him. But I'm saying all this to say, this is not about Micah Parsons being bad. Micah Parsons is great. But what we saw tonight is the epitome of Jerry Jones being right. when the score is 10-7, what does Micah Parsons do in a situation where it's 10-7? Philadelphia has the ball, for example. You're in a situation where it's 10-7. What does Micah Parsons do to turn that game so you can win it? Because there's only really a couple of things that he can do, and they have got to be some miraculous things. He's got to get a strip sack fumble. Somebody recovers it, scoops it up, runs it in for a touchdown, or at least you get the recovery. He's got to get a sack that's jarring and knocks the ball away. Or maybe he tips a pass up, intercepts it on his own, and maybe he runs it in. But you have to think that when the score is like it is tonight, how many things can Micah Parsons actually do for you defensively to manufacture points? See, a lot of people don't understand what Jerry means when he said Dak Prescott is indispensable, because Jerry is saying that if it comes down to Dak Prescott having the ball, it doesn't even have to be the last drive of the game. At least if you have Dak Prescott and weapons around him, if he gets the ball even last, the one thing you at least know is that Dak Prescott has a great chance of driving you down and at least getting you in the field goal range. But keeping Micah Parsons and paying him $47 million, and that team has the ball last on offense, and there's less than 2 minutes to go, what does Micah Parsons do for you? It's kind of hard to change the game. And that goes for any defensive player. It really gets hard to change the game. It does. It gets hard to change. It gets hard to change the game. And so Green Bay is going to be so frustrated. And the reason why Green Bay is going to be so frustrated is that Green Bay is going to experience the same thing the Dallas Cowboys experienced. Micah Parsons is an absolute great player. Historically great player. We can even say he's historically great. Now, all this talk when people were talking about these other players like Lawrence Taylor, trying to put him in these conversations like those, I don't care who would make mad. I'm not putting Micah Parsons in those conversations. I'm not putting Micah Parsons in those type of conversations. I'm not. Micah Parsons got to play a lot more football for me to start putting him in those conversations. I mean, bro, we talking about elite. I'm not sure if I'm in a category in my mind yet where he is elite. I'm not quite there yet. I'm not quite there yet because, and if you want to call him elite, I have no problem with it. But I'm struggling with it because even tonight, where were the game-changing plays? Where were the game-changing plays? I'm struggling with that. I'm struggling because this is exactly what Jerry was talking about. Where are the game-changing plays? And when you look at him tonight, I mean, let's just look at first the offense. Let me tell you something. This don't even tell the tape on this game. This don't even tell the tape. This is why you got to watch games. If you looked at this box score and you said, okay, it was 20 of 36, 176 yards, not too bad. If you would have looked at the game, and don't get me wrong, and Jordan Love's teammates didn't do him no favors either. Jordan Love threw some absolute duds, terrible ball placement, but then when he did throw some balls on the money, Josh Jacobs out of the backfield on that, what was it, the last drive? I don't even understand how he slips out of the backfield. And rather than you slipping out of the backfield and turning left into the flat, how do you awkwardly come out of the backfield and go to the left but turn to the right? What? Dobbins, drop passes. I mean, just it was a plethora of things going on with this team. But Jordan Love, I'm sorry, this dude, I thought when they paid him too quick. I never would have paid Jordan Love. And I know he's under that same athletes first with Micah Parsons and all of them, but he's one of them guys I'd have never paid. He'd have to play another year for me. And if he'd have held out, well, that'd have been on him. I'd have got me another quarterback in the meantime and let that joker walk or trade him. But there is no way I'd have paid Jordan Love. I said it even back then. Josh Jacobs, I mean, he didn't look too bad tonight. I think he would have been a lot more effective had the team been able to put together some passes. But they didn't do him no favors. The Green Bay Packers are missing a few receivers. They don't have the kid from Texas right now. I forget his name. And I don't know what the heck they're doing to Savion Williams. They got him returning kicks. And then when you kind of look at Micah Parsons here on the box score, this is the stuff with me I have a hard time dealing with when I'm paying a player like Micah Parsons that kind of money. I can't deal with one tackle. I can't deal with one tackle and one assisted tackle. I'm sorry. You can tell me what you want to. I'm not even being a hater, but I can't deal with that. I can't deal with that. There ain't no tape. I don't care what you show me on stuff like this. I can't deal with a $47 million a year player getting one tackle and one assisted tackle. I can't deal with that. I can't deal with that. You can't have a conversation to me about Reggie White. And people get mad when you say he's not in the conversation with Reggie White. You get mad all you want to. He may be in your conversation as it applies to Reggie White, but I'm a grown man, and I was old enough to see Reggie White play. And he ain't in the conversation with Reggie White. You can tell me all you want to how many sacks he got over a four-year average. I'm not putting him in the category of Reggie White. Reggie White was a game breaker, game wrecker. I'm just not putting him in that. And so the people, and this is what just kills me about people. The people who don't like stats, you know what's strange to me? They don't like stats. But every time Micah Parsons register this stat line, you know where they run to? The stats. Because now you got to you got to give an excuse for why he only had one tackle and one assisted tackle. Now you're going to have to go to PFF, and now you're going to have to tell me how many quarterback pressures. Now you're going to have to tell me how many times he got double teamed. Now you're going to have to tell me blah, 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 blah. You're going to have to tell me every single reason why a player that's getting paid $47 million per year, highest paid non-quarterback in the league. Now you got to tell me, now you got to make an excuse of why this guy was one tackle and one assisted tackle. Nah, man. Nah, man. I can't do it. Boy, I can't do it. Whew. I can't do it. Poopy D, let me tell you something. The Cowboys, I don't know what they're going to do with Osa, bro, but I tell you this. Osa Odigizua, to me, is one of them players. I really think the Cowboys, well, let's think about it like this. Let me say it like this, Poopy D. I'm going to say something that's probably going to make a few people a little hot around the collar, but I'm going to just tell you about me, Poopy D. If I got to choose, because The Cowboys got a lot of money tied up in the defensive tackle room right now. If I got to choose between Kenny Clark, Quinnen Williams, and Oso Digizua, if I got to choose between those three, I'll tell you right now with no hesitation, I'll take Kenny Clark, Quinnen Williams, and if I were the Cowboys, I'd trade Oso Digizua. If I had to. Now, I got a feeling the Cowboys are going to try to foot that bill because they want that defensive tackle. They want that defensive tackle position to stop the run. So the Cowboys are probably going to try to find a way to roll with all three of them. But I'll tell you this, if I got to choose between two of the three, well, Oso Digizua with a contract is the odd man out. I'll try to find me a team that'll pick up that contract. Man, I got Perion Winfrey. I got Solomon Thomas. I got Jay Toya. I've already got 3 defensive tackles. I'll roll with them 3 and go in the draft and even get me another defensive tackle. And I'll be ready to roll. Man, you got Kenny Clark. You got Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams. I'm rolling with them 2 if I have to, if you told me I had to make a choice. Because I'm telling you right now, Poobie D, a lot of people are saying Oso Digizua fleeced the Cowboys and is overpaid because we ain't heard heads or tails from Oso Digizua this year. Some of that is him getting double teamed in the middle, but we ain't heard heads or tails. Oso Digizua has almost been missing in action. But you know, again, I'm just saying, man, you cannot pay a defensive player $47 million. And this is his stat line. There is no excuse for that stat line. And I watched him out there tonight. I'm sorry, they're trying to use him like a chess piece, but it ain't working. He's not the queen. I can tell you that much. He ain't the queen piece out there. He's not the queen piece out there. 1 tackle, 1 assisted tackle. That is crazy work to me. That is crazy work. And again, it just goes to show you. It's not a knock on him as much, but it just goes to show you. You're paying $47 million for a player that when you get to a 10-7 game, that he can't make a play that turns that game. He don't get that swipe of the quarterback's arm that makes him fumble, or swipe of the quarterback's arm that makes him throw an interception. He's not doing something for you. I can't pay a guy $47 million just to rush the passer. That is insane work. And this league is overpaying edge rushers the same way it's overpaying quarterbacks. It is insane to pay a player that much. And that's not knocking him. I'm just saying the truth of the matter. How do you... I'm just telling you, if it's me, Green Bay, hey, man, Matt LaFleur, you on the hottest of hot seats right now. You're on the hottest of hot seats right now. Because I'm sure he was in a conversation. What do you think about us getting Micah Parsons? J-Tex is made. Let me read this real quick. J-Tex May said, what's funny is all the 3 and 4 letter networks going to be saying he didn't show up last night, and they the same ones that said Jerry was done for not paying him a generational pass rusher. Well, you know what else is funny to me, J-Tex May? J-Tex is made. It's amazing to me how a lot of people who were calling Jerry dumb all of a sudden now is calling Jerry a genius after he got Quinnen Williams. Some of them same people were calling Jerry dumb. But I'm telling you, they sat down. And I don't think there's a person in the conversation who said Micah Parsons is bad, because he's not bad. Micah Parsons is a great player, incredible player. Could be borderline. It may be borderline elite. But when you start talking about making a player the highest non-paid quarterback in NFL history, you got to tell me a little bit more than he's a great pass rusher. Nah, you got to tell me a little bit more than that. I just don't know of many players that I would ever try to pay that money to as a defensive player. I just don't know too many players I would do that for. I just don't. I can only think of a handful of defensive players ever in the history of this game that I would pay that kind of money to. The one that comes to the top of my head right now as a defensive player is Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders is a transcendent talent. Deion Sanders may very well be one of the best athletes, football players we've ever seen in our life. That's how great Deion Sanders was. And for young folk who didn't see Deion Sanders play, man, I am telling you, it's like not ever watching Michael Jordan play. You won't understand it unless you've seen him play. And highlight reels are great, man, but watching him play games, watching how this guy would change, watching how Deion Sanders would literally change games. Deion Sanders not only shut down one side of the field, Deion Sanders was an incredible punt returner. Deion Sanders could go in and play wide receiver for you if you needed him to. So if you were to tell me if there's ever a defensive player that I would pay that kind of money to, it is Deion Sanders, because I know Deion Sanders is a game-changing cornerback. Game-changing, just game-wrecking cornerback. That's what Deion Sanders is. I can't think of many players that I could feel good about going to sleep at night, paying them $47 million a year, and then you show me this stat line. I can't sleep at night. I can't sleep at night with that stat line. I can't sleep at night. I'm struggling with that. I can't sleep at night. But the game is the game. I'm not mad at Micah Parsons for getting his money. I'll never be mad at Micah Parsons for getting his money. If your talent garners that kind of money, shoot, go get your money, bro. I'm not mad at you. I think Ty Smith said one of the most incredible things out of all the people that talked about Micah Parsons. And I don't think people still to this day got what Ty Smith said. But I thought it was very telling what he said. He said, I'm happy for him because he got what he wanted. What do you mean he got what he wanted? He wanted to be the highest paid non-quarterback, and that's what he got. So if your talent garners that, man, far be it from me to hate on you for getting your money. But I'll tell you this. I'm glad the Cowboys didn't pay him. I've been on that energy. I'm glad the Cowboys didn't pay him. That's just too much money. That is too much money. And when you get in a tight game that's 10-7, and there's nothing he can do about it. There is nothing he can do about it. You can't put him back there at the running back position. I mean, what does he do? He's not going to shut down one side of the field. Offenses can still run at him. He's an edge rusher, not a defensive end. They can still run right at him. There's just Man, when you talking about that kind of money, that's crazy. And for the Green Bay Packers, let me just show you something about the Green Bay Packers. Let's look at a couple of things on them and just show you how crazy this is. Because the Green Bay Packers have put themselves in a predicament. They have really put themselves in a predicament. Let me look something up real quick. If I'm not mistaken, the Green Bay Packers 2024 record. Let's look at that real quick. Okay, that's what I figured. So the Green Bay Packers 2024 record. The Green Bay Packers were 11-6. The Green Bay Packers were 11-6 last year. You want to hear something that's absolutely insane? So you're telling me you lost 6 games last year without Micah Parsons. And you're telling me with Micah Parsons, you've accumulated already 3 losses and a tie? What? Y'all tell me. Y'all tell me. You got Micah Parsons. He's supposed to be the key to putting you in the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl, because that's what everybody was saying. How stupid Jerry was, and that the Micah Parsons is the piece that Green Bay needed, and Micah Parsons is going to take the Green Bay Packers to the Super Bowl. This is what Micah Parsons is going to do. Some of the players, hey, we got Micah Parsons. We got this confidence, man. We might go undefeated. We can go. I mean, people just been talking crazy about this. We saw it tonight, if we're being honest with ourselves. Absolutely no impact. And he probably, I ain't gonna say absolutely none, but not the kind of impact that you would expect from a player that's making that kind of money. And so, again, they were 11-6 last year. They are already 5-3-1. They didn't have a tie last year, and they already have 3 losses. They are only 2.5 losses from having the same amount of losses they had last year without Micah Parsons. Man, you can tell me anything you want to. I'm struggling with this. I'm struggling. I'm sorry. I'm expecting at this point in the season, if I'm the Green Bay Packers, there are 3 games that I don't expect to be a loss or a tie. I don't expect the Cleveland Browns to be a loss. I don't expect the Carolina Panthers to be a loss. And I definitely don't expect to tie with the Dallas Cowboys. That's bad. If I'm looking at this team, this is bad to me. You are 5-3-1. You got whooped and tied by 3 teams that shouldn't have happened. And then you let the the Philadelphia Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champion, they didn't beat you in Philly. They beat you in Green Bay. What? Green Bay should have never paid Jordan Love. I'd have never paid Jordan Love. And Micah Parsons, he built different than me. I'm not leaving Dallas to go to Green Bay. You're not convincing me. I'm firing my agent. Hey, bro, you're not convincing me to go to Green Bay. You're not convincing me to go to Green Bay with Jordan Love as my quarterback. You're not convincing me to do that. Because I'm telling you at this point, do y'all know we've literally only seen half of a good season from Jordan Love and he got paid? Tell me how crazy that is. Jordan Love got paid for half of a good season. 1/2 of a good season. That's what he got paid for. If I'm Micah Parsons, There ain't no way $47 million is not convincing me to go there. Especially when I start thinking about taxes, cost of living, and all of that stuff versus being in Texas. Bro, I would rather take $7 million less per year to be in Dallas than to go to Green Bay. Crazy. Crazy. Ain't no way I'm doing it. There is no way I'm doing it. I mean, I just don't think this was even a great understanding. I don't think this was a great move for Micah Parsons. The only thing this was for Micah Parsons, and we have just got to admit the truth, it was money. Money. I don't see any other thing this could be. Money. Why would I want to leave Dallas, go to Green Bay, play for a quarterback that's not as good? We got a brand new coaching staff and everything is looking great. We got pass rushers. They've added some extra pass rushers. I think we could do something on this team. There is no way I'm leaving Dallas. Higher cost of living. Playing in the cold. Ain't no way. Ain't no way I'm not doing it. Poobie D said, I'm not taking up for Michael, but everything is not about sex. Yes, it is. No, I disagree with you, Poobie D. Because now you got to tell me what else does Micah Parsons do for you. It's all about sex. It's all about sex because that's always been the argument with Micah Parsons, Poobie D. Tell me any other argument anybody's ever made about Micah Parsons, Poobie D. I'll wait on you. Nobody's ever made any other argument about Micah Parsons. They've never told you he's a run stuffer. They've never told you he's a run stopper. They've never told you that, I mean, what has anybody ever told us about Micah Parsons? The only thing that people talk about is the fact that he averaged 12 sacks per year over 4 years, and he's on a historic trajectory. That's the only argument anybody has ever made about Micah Parsons. Rushing the passer, quarterback hits, quarterback pressure. Tell me any other argument. There's never been another argument about Micah Parsons. And Poobie D, I'm going to push back respectably on you again. I'm going to push back respectably. Poobie D, do you realize there are people who are saying that Micah Parsons actually carried Dak Prescott and the Cowboys? There were people who were saying this about Micah Parsons, Poobie D. I heard them with my own ears. Yeah, there's a reason they had 12-win seasons all those years when Micah Parsons was there. Oh, we're just going to just totally ignore Dak Prescott was playing on MVP levels. People were looking at 2023. I destroyed this last year. Dak Prescott had 2 other years that were almost, one of them I think was as good, and the other one was almost as good. And nobody was giving Dak Prescott credit. He been balling. Dak been balling. And what you're saying, Poobie D, I got to respectively disagree because people have made conversations that he carried the team. He was carrying the team. And what other conversation has there ever been about Micah Parsons? Somebody got to tell me. I've never heard nobody say he's the best. I've never heard nobody say he's the best defensive end. I've never heard anybody talking about him being a run stopper, run stuffer. I've never heard anything but edge rusher, pass rushing. This is all the argument that anybody's ever made about Micah Parsons. And this is where I'm going to agree with you here, though. Micah Parsons can't do it by himself. That's the point Jerry Jones was making. That's the point Jerry Jones was making. Micah needs players around him. He needs defensive players around him. But Green Bay got players around him, and he still looked like he looked in Dallas. That ain't saying he's bad. All I'm telling you is Micah Parsons looks like he looked in Dallas. He looks. Somebody tell me, I'm not even being disingenuous. Tell me how he's looked any different than he looked in Dallas. Tell me what he's done. Tell me what he's done in Green Bay that's any different than he did in Dallas. He doesn't look any different. Matter of fact, he looks a lot the same. Where is he in the big games? Tonight was a big game. It was a big game tonight. This was a huge game. Where was he? And I'm not telling you he wasn't out there hustling his butt off. All I'm telling you is Micah Parsons, you got to tell me something different than $47 million when you're talking about what I saw tonight and you're talking about $47 million a year. I can't, man. I'm sorry. I can't sleep at night with that kind of money. And you didn't make the game. You can't make the game winning play. I can't sleep at night. I'm sorry. I can't sleep at night on that. And let me show you this. So I want to show you a couple of things here that is absolutely insane. So right now, through 8 games, Micah Parsons has 6.5 sacks. 6.5 sacks through 8 games. Now, the crazy part of that is 6.5 sacks through 8 games. Anybody want to take a wild guess? Anybody want to take a wild guess at who does he have most of these sacks against? Who does he have these 6.5? What team does he have the most sacks against? Now, I'm going to show you the crazy, ironic part. Micah Parsons this season has 6.5 sacks. And 3 of those sacks, this looks similar to Dallas. 3 of those sacks came against the trash Arizona Cardinals. You want to add some more insult to injury? The NFL gave Micah Parsons a sack against the Dallas Cowboys at the end of that Dallas Cowboys game that many people were questioning, was that really a sack? So that's 4 of the 6.5 sacks. So follow what I'm telling you. In 2 games, of the 6.5 sacks that Micah Parsons has, in 2 games, he got 4.5 sacks. So you're telling me in the other 6 games, he's only amassed 2 sacks? I'm sorry, I can't sleep at night. I can't sleep at night. Y'all tell me what y'all think, but I can't sleep at night on stuff like that. I can't sleep at night on that. This sounds like Dallas all over again. This sounds like Dallas all over again. You're in Dallas getting 12 sacks a year. But if we go back and look at the teams you got those sacks against, you got the majority of those sacks against 4 bad teams. And then the other sacks are spread out and they're not even in big games. But at the end of the season, every time they talk about Micah Parsons, what do? They go to one stat: sacks. Because they know most people are not going to go back and look at, they're not going to go back and look at, oh, okay, what games did he get those sacks in? They know the majority of the people in the public are not going to do that. They're going to sell us a bill of goods and say, hey, he got 13, 14 sacks. Okay, but can we talk about what teams did he get those sacks on? What were the situations? Because I can tell you this, the Green Bay Packers right now, and this is why I'm telling you, Matt LaFleur has got to be on the hottest of hot seats, because in 8 games with Micah Parsons, trading away 2 first-round picks, trading away Kenny Clark. I mean, people were like, man, why would Dallas get them picks? And those picks are going to be at number 32. I'm going to go out on a limb right now. I can unequivocally tell you right now that those Green Bay picks right now will not be number 32. They will not be number 31, and they will not be number 30. We keep on playing, and those picks may be in the lower 20s. Those picks may be in the lower 20s because the Green Bay Packers have almost put themselves in a situation to where how much more can you improve this team? You're not getting rid of Jordan Love's contract. You're definitely not getting rid of Micah Parsons' contract. So how do you get better? You gave away 2 first-round draft picks. How do you get better over the next 2 to 3 years? Well, when you get Micah Parsons, you're not actually thinking about getting better because you feel like right now you're good enough. 8 games, 6.5 sacks, 4.5 of those sacks, 1 against the Cowboys. One of those sacks is against the Cowboys. I'm sorry, 1 of those sacks against the Cowboys, 3 against the Arizona Cardinals. So you got 4 sacks against 2 teams and 2.5 sacks against who else? 2.5 sacks in the 6 other games. And so looking at the Green Bay schedule, I mean, I'm telling you, again, the Green Bay Packers didn't help us out, except as far the only place that the Green Bay Packers helped us out is maybe looking at the draft pick. The Packers are going to help us out even more. And the thing that's strange about the Green Bay Packers, guys, let me show you something else. Man, Green Bay is 3-5. Green Bay is what? 5-3-1. Let's look at Green Bay's schedule. Green Bay has already been beat by the Panthers. They've been beat by the Cleveland Browns, tied by the Cowboys, beat by the Eagles. So when you look at their remaining games, I think they'll smash the Giants. But it is going to be in New York. Hey, anything can happen. The Vikings are coming to Green Bay. But I'm going to tell you right now, the Green Bay Packers are in danger of having a worse schedule than they did last year with Micah Parsons. Because I can tell you right now, November the 27th, book it. I just think you can book that game right now. I'm not going to be surprised if the Lions absolutely wreck the Green Bay Packers. I think they'll win the next 2. But this Detroit Lions game, they may absolutely be wrecked. They've already lost their last 2 games. The Giants should be a get-back game for them. I believe they'll beat the Giants. But then, the Vikings, it'll probably be a tough game. But I think the Lions are going to wreck them. And that's Thanksgiving. I think the Lions are going to wreck them. They'll play the Bears. That'll be a tough game. I think they'll win. Denver Broncos is going to be a tough game. Then they're going to play the Bears again in Chicago. I think they're going to split with Chicago. And if they split with Chicago, they lose to Chicago one of those games. If they lose to the Detroit Lions, they'll have 5 losses at that point. 5 losses, 1 tie. they will find themselves at that point by the end of the season. The Green Bay Packers will have a worse schedule. I mean, they'll have a worse record with Micah Parsons than they did without Micah Parsons. That is insanity. That is insanity. And I bet you, had I told you this, or anybody would have told us this before tonight, everybody would be saying you crazy. Because with Micah Parsons, because people were already projecting they were the Super Bowl favorites, top 5 power ranked team in the league. The Green Bay Packers are going to win 13 games. People were saying stuff like 13 games, y'all. But I was pushing back on that because I'm like, well, how much better can they get? They won 11 last year. So the only thing you can do is win 12, 13, or 14 with Micah Parsons. And anything less than 11 games, it's a failure. Matt LaFleur, you're on the hot seat if it's me. They'll have 5 losses by the time they lose to the Chicago Bears. They'll have 5 losses. And I didn't even count the fact they got to go to Denver. Who knows what Denver's going to do to them when they go to Denver? They have the Ravens after that, then they'll play the Vikings in Minnesota. The Green Bay Packers may very well finish 10-6-1. How crazy is that? You're going to finish with a worse schedule? I mean, you're going to finish with a worse record than you did without Micah Parsons? Whew. That's insanity to me. That's insanity to me. Bless said, why are you talking about Micah again? Because he played tonight. That's why I'm talking about him again. He played tonight. And if he played tonight, it concerns us that he played tonight. I mean, he's Micah Parsons from the Cowboys. It's going to be a big story tomorrow. Micah Parsons, it has something to do with the Cowboys. The Cowboys traded Micah Parsons. So the expectation is that every time we see the Green Bay Packers play, they should be winning more. That's why I'm bringing up Micah Parsons. And then your back end statement, you said Dak disappears in the playoffs as well. No, Dak don't disappear in the playoffs. The problem with Dak Prescott is the same problem we have this year, and now we're just now realizing it. No, the people around Dak Prescott disappears in the playoffs, and then Dak Prescott is left holding the ball because Dak Prescott they put everything on the shoulders of Dak Prescott, similar to what they've done this year. The Cowboys, these losses the Cowboys have had, hadn't been because of Dak Prescott. The defense is atrocious. The last 2 games, everybody can admit the play calling has been terrible. They can't block for Dak Prescott. They're already now talking about that Nate Thomas is competing with Terrence Steele, and some people are saying that he's going to take Terrence Steele's spot. Don't even know if that's going to fix it. No, if there's ever been a year that's been the epitome of, do you now see what we're talking about? Man, even Colin Cowherd has changed his mind on this stuff. Even Colin Cowherd with his crazy self finally came out and said, man, Dak Prescott hasn't been the problem all along. Duh, we've been trying to tell you this. Dak Prescott hasn't been the problem all along. Chanel said, my Band-Aid for my bleeding for the Cowboys is blue and silver, period. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But, man, I'm just saying all of this because when you pay a player the way the Green Bay Packers paid Micah Parsons, if you're telling me that 5-3-1 at this point in the season with Micah Parsons is acceptable to you, you must love throwing away money. That's all I'm going to tell you. You must love throwing away money. Because if I'm going to spend that kind of money on a player, bro, you got to pay to score points. That's just period for me, bottom line. You got to pay to score points. There's got to be something that you can do other than one thing. You got to score points. And Hail Mary, you said something right here. You said Cowboys don't owe D-Law anything. He balled his contract year after signing his extension. Now, let me tell you this. It could be argued that DeMarcus Lawrence is having a better season than Micah Parsons. I mean, it could literally be argued that the player that Micah Parsons was so critical of and wanted out of Dallas, he is doing better than Micah Parsons. He's doing better, and he's on a better team. DeMarcus Lawrence has absolutely balled out, y'all. This dude, D-Law, is balling out. And he's got players around him. Pooba D, you said they gave up 10 points. Pooba D, I'm struggling with that, bro. I'm struggling with they gave up 10 points. These teams, they both played awful offensively. I don't think it was the defensive battle people think it was. I'm watching this game, and I'm watching just... There was some great defensive plays, don't get me wrong. But some of this was just bad throws. And man, you the Philadelphia Eagles. Man, you got A.J. Brown. Man, A.J., they not doing nothing with A.J. Brown. And I'm not believing that A.J. Brown ain't getting open. I just think we watched bad offensive play tonight. Bad offensive play, especially on Green Bay. But we watched bad offensive play on both sides of the ball. And I do think that Jalen Hurts changed the momentum of the game because, boy, had he not fumbled that game early on, I think it was about to be. I think it was about to be. I think that Philly was already about to put foots in him. I think Philly was already about to put foots in him. But Green Bay, let me go back. Somebody said something here, and I you know what? I may have to agree with you, man. Ryan R., I think this is another great point. Parsons don't even look as good as he did with Dallas. I'm not sure he looks as good as he did with Dallas. I'm not. But I can tell you this, for that kind of money, I'm just sorry, man. I just got to expect more than this. Robert Paulson, just kind of looking at it at face value, I'm sure there were some double teams, but there also were some single teams too. Yeah, it was some single teams too, and he didn't beat some of those. Yeah, Four Pocket said he didn't get no doubles. Like I said, I don't know. I'm sure he did on some occasions, but I didn't see him. I saw him getting beat on singles or getting stopped on singles. But I'm just telling this, man, at the end of the day, the Green Bay Packers are in a crazy situation. You don't let go of 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark just so you can be worse than what you were last year. I'm sorry, Matt LaFleur, welcome to the hot seat, bruh. Welcome to the hot seat. Yeah, welcome to the hot seat, bro. I'll just tell you right now, Matt LaFleur, if I'm there, bro, you even get 10 wins. I'm sorry. If you don't match the number of wins you got last year, bro, we got to get us somebody here who can coach. Because whether we realize it or not, they've been losing. I mean, they hadn't been losing, but they just haven't got very far with Matt LaFleur. I think they, barely got out of the first round since Matt LaFleur's been here. Man, if I'm Green Bay, boy, I got some soul searching to do. Because when you convince me about Micah Parsons, you're basically telling me this is the piece we need to go to the Super Bowl. And you don't do it? Hey, bro, you out of here. Danny said, he was on the sidelines laughing at the Packers game. What he does every time, laughing for no reason. What happens? They lose, G. What's going on, Danny Dallas Cowboys fan? Let's go. Yes, sir. Yeah, he had 3 sacks. 3 sacks against Arizona, 1 sack against the Cowboys. And I don't know who the other 2.5 sacks are against. But I can tell you this, 6 games, 2.5 sacks. This sounds like Dallas all over again. Not the big game. And the reason why I'm saying this is Michael got players around him at Green Bay. Green Bay's defense was good before he got there. Green Bay's defense was good before he got there. Green Bay's defense should be on steroids right now. They should be on steroids right now. But Green Bay's defense, and like I said, this is another reason why I struggle paying a non-quarterback this kind of money. Because Jordan Love should have never got paid. And this is why you don't understand Micah Parsons. Why would you go to a team that's got a quarterback? Why would you leave a top 5 quarterback and go to the Green Bay Packers? Why would you do this? Who told you, bro? Who told you that Jordan Love was good? Jordan Love was good for half a season. Half a season in 2023, he was good. 2024, atrocious. But we gave him an excuse. He was injured. Well, what's going on this year? Why would you leave that quarterback to go to this team? Ain't no doggone way, man. Ain't no doggone way. Can't do it. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. But, Ty Smith said it. He got his money. So let me show you another story that's going on about this thing and how this is all so ironic and people do not realize. Boy, somebody gonna give Jerry Jones some credit before it's over. And it's gonna have to be somebody other than me. Jerry Jones did something. And when I first saw this, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, it doesn't really it's really not that big of a deal. It's really not that big of a deal. It's something kind of smart that Jerry did, and I'm thinking it's kind of a petty thing. But boy, let me tell you what Jerry Jones did. Jerry Jones put an addendum in Micah Parsons' contract that is absolutely crazy. Jerry Jones put a poison pill in Micah Parsons' contract. And let me tell you how crazy this is. Everybody's reporting on it now. Let me tell you how crazy this is. So this doesn't really, in the grand scheme of things, when I heard this a few days ago, it really didn't hit me the way it hit me now. Because I'm thinking in my mind when I heard this on the way to church on Sunday, I'm like, okay, so Jerry put a poison pill in Micah Parsons' contract that if the Green Bay Packers were to decide to trade Micah Parsons to the Philadelphia Eagles, the Cowboys would acquire another first-round draft pick from the Green Bay Packers. Now, let me read this, and now let me tell you why now it's starting to make sense to me. Check this out. It says the Green Bay Packers star pass rusher Micah Parsons will line up Monday night against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Dallas Cowboys went out of their way over the summer to ensure Parsons would not play for the division rival Eagles, at least not anytime soon. Unbeknownst to everyone except a few who crafted the August blockbuster trade that sent Parsons from Dallas to Green Bay was a poison pill condition that, according to sources involved with the deal, prevents the two-time All-Pro from playing for the Philadelphia Eagles in the immediate future. The previously unreported condition states that if the Packers decide to trade Parsons to a team in the NFC East, the Eagles tried to trade for him in the summer before being rebuffed, then Green Bay would owe Dallas its 2028 first-round draft pick, sources involved in the trade told ESPN. It says the poison pill condition also was used on Kenny Clark, the other player involved in the trade, according to sources. If the Cowboys trade Clark to a team in the NFC North, they would owe the Packers their first-round pick. Now, let me tell you why this makes sense. And it makes sense on both sides. I'm not going to make this one-sided. So the Cowboys went and got, the Cowboys, of course, went and got Quinnen Williams. So if the Cowboys would have said, we got Quinnen Williams, we don't need Kenny Clark because Osa's under contract and we don't want all three of these contracts. So we love our guys. We'll go ahead and trade Kenny Clark because he may even have a higher trade value. Well, the issue is they won't be able to trade him to the Lions, the Vikings, or the Bears. 3 teams that would probably absolutely love to have Kenny Clark. But I think this even more so helps the Cowboys from this perspective because you're the Green Bay Packers. If you're the Green Bay Packers, there is no way anyone could convince me of anything otherwise. If you're the Green Bay Packers and you get Micah Parsons this year, there is nobody that can convince me that when Green Bay is having this conversation, Green Bay has 2025 in their mind and that they're going to probably win the Super Bowl in 2025. I guarantee you that conversation is on the table. You're not having this conversation about this trade with Micah Parsons if you're Green Bay because Green Bay was already 11-6 last year. So if you're Green Bay and this is the Micah Parsons trade, well, you got to be thinking in your mind, Micah Parsons has got to be at least worth 2 more games. I mean, 1 game minimum. We're going to finish 12-5 with Micah Parsons. We'll be the number 1 seed. Well, I can tell you right now, I mean, unless they go on one of the craziest runs that we've seen in a long time, and I'm not telling you that it's not possible, but unless they go on an absolute insane run, somebody got to tell me, you're telling me that the Green Bay Packers, they're 5-3-1. Somebody going to try to convince me that they're going to win 8 of their last, they're going to go 8-0, or they're going to win 7 of the last 8. I'm struggling with that. I don't think that's going to happen. If you're Green Bay, you're thinking this is a Super Bowl now move. This isn't a Super Bowl 2026, 2027 move. This is a Super Bowl now move. And if you telling me that you won't even win as many games this year, well, you're going to probably by next year, if this starts to bleed into 2026, you're going to probably have some buyer's remorse. And you may actually start thinking, man, we can still get a king's ransom from the Philadelphia Eagles. Well, if you try to get a king's ransom from the Philadelphia Eagles and you try to get some of them picks back, well, you giving up a 2028. So the only way you even fix that team is you fix that team starting in 2029. But then it'll be a total failure anyway. Because I guarantee you Matt LaFleur won't be here if they wind up making a move like that. Matt LaFleur won't be here. Or he won't be in Green Bay. Because I'm just telling you right now, if it's me, Matt LaFleur is on the hottest of hot seats. He is on the hottest of hot seats. And so this poison pill that Jerry and the Green Bay Packers put in this thing for both Kenny Clark and Micah Parsons. When I first heard about this, I was like, this is no big deal. But man, after watching tonight, I could see a situation where they might want to move on from Micah Parsons a little bit early. I could see that situation. Just like I could see a situation with the Cowboys, now that they got Quinnen Williams. Maybe they would be like, hey, maybe we move on from Kenny because now we got Quinnen, which I hope they don't do. I hope the Cowboys figure out a way to keep all three of them. I think they need to keep Osa, Kenny, and Quinnen Williams. Solomon Thomas, he's been balling, so you already got him on a 2-year contract. And then we'll see what Perion Winfrey is. And, man, it would be great to keep all 5 of those tackles. Jadeveon Clowney is coming along. Donovan Ezraku is going to be great. If I were the Cowboys, I'd try to keep Jadeveon Clowney even another year. I think Jadeveon Clowney really fits the Cowboys. I really do. I really think he fits the Cowboys. But again, man, this Micah Parsons trade, the Green Bay Packers have got to be looking at this and saying, wait a minute, man. you can't help but be thinking this, man. You got to be looking at this going, okay, hold on a second. And I'm not as much, and again, this isn't about hating on Micah Parsons. Because I don't think Jerry was hating on Micah Parsons. I think Jerry was stating a fact that nobody wanted to accept. You can't pay a non-quarterback that kind of money when they are not a ball-dominant player. I think that was the point he was making. Because Jerry I've never heard Jerry say that Micah isn't good. I've never heard him say it. I've never heard him say he isn't great. I've never heard him talk negative about Micah Parsons other than in some of the stuff that he did. But, man, I'm telling y'all, Jerry absolutely loved Micah Parsons. But if I'm Green Bay, Matt LaFleur is on the hot seat right now. I said this when they first traded for him. Anything less than a Super Bowl to me is a failure. Derrick Rose, he said, gee, would it be a failure if they finish with a worse record with Parsons but go further in the playoffs? That would be a success, especially if he's a part of the reason why they're in there wrecking shop in the playoffs. Yeah. Now that if they had a worse record in 1 playoff games, no. That means that something turned around. Mose Logan is going as far as saying the Packers not making the playoffs. I think they're making the playoffs. They'd have to have a deep sink to not make the playoffs. They're making the playoffs. Yeah, they're making the playoffs. Let's look at the playoff. Let's look at that. And I'm telling you, boy, the Green Bay Packers, boy, they did nothing to help the Cowboys. Absolutely nothing to help the Cowboys tonight. But, on down the road, those draft picks, they helped us there. But I think it's safe to say that the Cowboys will not be picking at number 32, 31, or 30 this year. I feel very comfortable in saying that. So right now, the draft pick, and the draft pick that I think they traded was the 2027 Green Bay pick. So I think it's safe to say that the Cowboys, I think it's safe to say that the Cowboys are going to get a pretty good pick from from the Green Bay Packers. So look at this now. So now when we look at the playoff picture, and I didn't think this was going to happen, but now the team that we need to be looking at that we could possibly overcome is none other than the Green Bay Packers. I can't believe it. I'm dumbfounded. The Green Bay Packers are at the 7th seed. And the only way they can get back to that 3rd seed is the Lions. So the Lions are playing pretty doggone good. So the Rams are 7-2. The Bears are 6-3. So they're a half game behind the Bears, 1.5 games behind, 2.5 games roughly behind. I think that would be 2.5 games. 2.5 games roughly behind the Rams. So the Packers and the Cowboys. The Cowboys are going to pass the Giants, I believe, this week. I think once the Cowboys on Monday night, they got to beat the Raiders. The Cowboys have got to take care of their own business. They beat the Raiders, the Cowboys will move up to 10. I do think the Cowboys will move beyond the Panthers. So the hurdle will be between the 49ers and the Packers. I'm telling us, guys, the Cowboys are not out of the playoffs. A lot of people keep talking, oh, the Cowboys are out of the playoffs. No, they're not. And I don't think they're out of the playoffs by far. I don't think they're out by far. I think the Cowboys are a lot closer than people think they are. The Cowboys' big test will be the next 4 games. The Cowboys' big test will be the next 4 games. Can the Cowboys, can they, out of those next 4 games, it would be a miracle if they went, I don't want to say a miracle. I don't want to say a miracle. But the Cowboys' next 4 games are treacherous. Their next 4 games are treacherous, people. The only game in reality that is not treacherous, the only game in reality that is not treacherous, and the Cowboys could absolutely make it treacherous, is the Las Vegas Raiders game. But the Cowboys, after that Las Vegas Raiders game, let me tell you something. Cowboys better smoke the Raiders. They better smoke the Raiders. I think they'll beat the Eagles. It's a divisional game. I think they get that one. But this Raiders game is the one they have to get. They have to get the Raiders game because they'll have the Raiders, the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Lions. Those are 4 games. 4 games. Hey, Real Estate Vet, let me put your comment up here. Real Estate Vet is a very good comment. Crazy D-Law said they're going to win in Seattle when he was traded on the interview. He called it. Yeah. Randall, I don't believe that D-Law was the problem either. I don't believe he was the problem either. But I can tell you this, D-Law is balling. He is balling over there in Seattle. And Seattle is 7-2. Let me look at something. So when you think about DeMarcus Lawrence has 4.5 sacks. I think he's missed a game or 2 this year. He's got 4.5 sacks. Not to mention boy, if Micah Parsons had a great game against the Arizona Cardinals, boy, what in the world do you call what DeMarcus Lawrence did? Boy, DeMarcus Lawrence ate on them doggone Arizona Cardinals. Man, they had 2 touchdowns up in that thing, man. Shoot, that boy DeMarcus Lawrence balled out. But the Cowboys' schedule, and the crazy thing is he's on a better team. Seattle's just great right now. Cowboys have a gauntlet. Raiders, Eagles, Chiefs, Lions. The dream would be 4-0 in that stretch. That is a tough stretch. If the Cowboys could get 3-1 out of that, if they could get 3-1 out of this gauntlet right here, it'd be great. Because if they get 3-1 here, that would put them at 6 games. And then if they could win the rest of these, because I think they beat the Vikings, Commanders, and the Giants. The Chargers are the problem. But I think they could overtake the Chargers if they have everything rolling the right way by the time they get to this point. So I think the Cowboys can actually win these 4 games in a row. The problem is they can't afford to go. I don't even think they can afford to go 2-2 in this. I think 2-2 will take it down to the last Sunday of the year. But if they could go 3-1 in this and then win these 4, I'll just tell you right now, if the Cowboys hit 10-6-1, they're in the playoffs. Book it. Book it. I guarantee you if they hit 10-6-1, they're in the playoffs. If they go 9-7-1, they're going to be wishing on a prayer. Somebody or a combination of teams are going to have to lose for the Cowboys to get into the playoffs at the end for them to go any further. So this is why the Cowboys have got to control what they can control. Cowboys have to control what they can control, and what they can control is winning. They have got to win games. Catalin, let me tell you something. If the Packers miss the playoffs, I'm firing Matt LaFleur the next day. Rod Curry, Michael might be playing hurt. I'm struggling with that too. I'm struggling with that. And the reason why I'm struggling with that is, man, don't nobody want to hear that when you out there on that field. If you out there on that field, bro, you don't get that excuse. I know there are people who make that excuse, but you don't get that excuse. If you playing, you playing. Jeanette, what's going on, Jeanette Rogers? Yeah, if you playing, you playing. But I'm telling you, man, boy, we all about it. Boy, man, it is exciting in the grand scheme of things. We are about to get all of the Cowboys we can handle. All the Cowboys we can handle over about, 10 to 11 days? Cowboys play Monday, then they play Sunday, then they play Thursday. Whew. Boy, that is tough. That is tough. Man, Cowboys got to get really, really, really rested up because that is a tough. I mean, the Raiders game, it would be great if the Cowboys could put that game away early and rest a lot of starters, put it away and rest a lot of starters. Just do away with the Raiders early on in the game, put up 30-something on them. But again, I think it's going to be tough. Big Rumbowski's talked about it. Rich Lloyd talked about it earlier too. I think it's going to be tough. Pete Carroll is coming to beat. Pete Carroll does not want to get beat by Brian Schottenheimer. Pete Carroll does not want to get beat by Brian Schottenheimer. He's going to be doing all that he can. He is going to do everything he can to beat Brian Schottenheimer. He doesn't want to be beat by Brian Schottenheimer, so we're going to see how that goes. So I think it's probably going to be a tough game. But if the Cowboys defense comes out and they look the way we're hoping they're going to look, man, it would behoove the Cowboys to knock these boys off. But where the Cowboys have got to get back to is the Cowboys have got to get back to scoring points. Cowboys have got to get back to scoring points, man. There is just no excuse for where the Cowboys are right now. They're not scoring points. There's just no excuse for this. Cowboys are not scoring points. The Big Rumbowski, he said it's contract gamesmanship. Man, I'm telling you. Now, Big Rumbowski, but it's funny, we're talking about this, right? When you first put clauses like that in a contract, you're probably like, no big deal. Because nobody's going to want to trade Micah Parsons. We're going to the Super Bowl with Micah Parsons. That's probably what you're thinking. And you're the Cowboys, you're probably thinking, man, we ain't going to want to trade Kenny Clark because we're going to be stopping the run and we're going to do this and this and this. But then as things start to develop, and this is the beauty of doing things like this, because once things start to develop, Big Rumbowski, maybe your thought process changes. Maybe there are things that happen. Imagine this. Matt LaFleur gets fired. The season don't go well this year. They fire them next year. The new coach comes in, doesn't do as good. Man, by the end of 2026, and you're not getting the kind of results you want, something that you thought you'd be like, we ain't gonna never do this. Maybe it becomes a consideration. Especially if Howie Roseman starts knocking on your door saying, hey, man, you don't have no... Imagine this. Hey, Green Bay, this is the second season in a row. You got Micah Parsons. You didn't win with him. You didn't win with him in 2025. You really didn't win with him in 2026. Hey, tell you what we'll do. We'll give you our first round draft picks in 2027, 2028, because we feel like we're one player away again. You give us Micah Parsons, we'll take on this contract, we'll give you our 2 first round draft picks. We think that sounds crazy. In the beginning, when you make that contract, you're like, sure, that's no big deal. But you have another season like this one. And the reason why I'm saying this is that Jordan Love is still going to be the quarterback. Just telling y'all, man, Jordan Love, I thought the Green Bay Packers were dumb when they signed this dude. Who signed somebody? Who signed somebody to a contract like this on half a season? Green Bay crazy. Green Bay is crazy. What? Somebody open up the door. I'm up here by myself. I almost had to break out of here, y'all. My son's dog wants to come in. He got one of these Frenchies. If anybody's ever had a Frenchie, let me tell you something. These dogs think they are almost human beings. But again, Poobie D, I'm with you on this. Jordan Love? Bro. That contract with Jordan Love is crazy. Crazy. And if I'm Michael, I still don't understand. Why would you? I just couldn't go where he is. I just couldn't do it. Miss Matrix in the crib. Welcome to the congregation tonight. She said, G, I saw this coming a mile away. She said, why I was upset. Let me read this. Hold on. Why I was upset, he went to Green Bay. Even if we won our division, we would see them in the playoffs. And they were already kryptonite without Micah. I tell you this, Miss Matrix. Green Bay is in danger. Green Bay is in danger. They're losing games that they're not supposed to be losing. And they're going to, how do you get worse with Micah Parsons? I'm not blaming this on Micah Parsons. How do you get worse with Micah Parsons? How do you do it? There is something wrong if you get worse with Micah Parsons. And this is bigger than Micah Parsons when you start thinking about that part. Hold on a second. Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand Mixed Matrix. Why would he want to go somewhere like? I just wouldn't want to go there. I wouldn't have wanted to go there. It's too doggone cold. I just wouldn't want to go there. But again, man, the Cowboys, they got a tough. Cowboys got a tough next 4 games. They got a tough next 4 games. But they got to take care of business. They got to beat the Raiders. They have to beat the Raiders. Bottom line. And if they don't beat the Raiders, the Cowboys will then be in danger. And I don't think there's no way they go. If you lose to the Raiders, how do you win the next 7? I think you beat the Eagles, but how do you win the next 7? But it's got to be one game at a time. The Cowboys have got to knock down the door. They got to knock down the door on the Raiders. They absolutely have to knock down the door. Go, Luna. Get. Oh, it's crazy. Let's see here. Poobie D said we got defensive tackles, but no safeties and corners. Man, hey, Poobie D, keep your fingers crossed. I am hearing that the Cowboys are actually interested in the Diggs kid. Yeah, I'm hearing the Cowboys are actually interested in the Diggs kid. Diggs, the safety, Quandre Diggs. I'm hearing the Cowboys are interested in him. That's what I've been hearing. I'm hearing the Cowboys are interested in Quandre Diggs. So the cornerback situation, some people have been talking about. There were some people talking about Kalen Carson. I saw some talk on this. They're talking about Kalen Carson played Kalen. They're saying Kalen Carson played really well for the Cowboys. The game they had last, they're saying he played well. And I think the talk is moving Savon Revel Jr. is going to play against the Raiders. And from everything I'm hearing, Savon Revel Jr. is looking really, really good, Poobie D. So they're saying Savon Revel outside, Kalen Carson outside, Deron Bland in the slot. That's what I'm hearing. And then, of course, you got Reddy. He's another one of your nickelbacks. So the cornerback room should look a little bit better as we get going for the next second half of the season. The safeties, if you brought in Quandre Diggs, I'm going to tell you what I think the Cowboys' struggle is with bringing in Quandre Diggs. I'm just going to tell you what I think it is. I don't think the Cowboys want to admit that those safeties aren't good because they've already paid them. I don't think they want to admit it. I don't think they want to admit it, but I think they're going to have to admit it. They don't want to admit that those safeties, they don't want to admit those safeties aren't good. They still believe they can salvage the safeties and get them to play in this system. I don't think it's true. I don't think it's true. And if Quandre Diggs comes in, Quandre Diggs is going to be a starter. So that'll be kind of where we are. Chanel, you worried about right tackle. I'm worried about the left tackle and the right tackle. you worried about the right tackle. Man, I'm worried about the left tackle and the right tackle. Because I don't think the Cowboys, as much as they say they do, I don't think they have very good tackles. Tyler Guyton. Tyler Guyton is still a work in progress. Now, he may be progressing, but he is a work in progress. He really is, man. He is a work in progress. And I'm just not buying, some people are not even agreeing with the Cowboys replacing Terrence Steele with Nate Thomas. I don't even know about that. So I'm struggling. I'm struggling with both of our tackles. That's where I am. That's where I am. So I really think the Cowboys need to go next year and really start considering in the offseason. I think the Cowboys need to really start considering we might need to go get us a left tackle. And I say if you can't draft one, trade for one. The Cowboys don't have the time to construct this team over the next 3 years. They got to get this team together next year and be ready. And be ready to make a Super Bowl run. You can't keep chancing. And it's not even about Dak Prescott's had injuries in the past. It's simply about the fact that nobody's health is guaranteed. And so when you got a quarterback that's kind of that you can tell that he's kind of hitting that level of peaking, and not necessarily peaking, but he's playing at that doggone Voltron level of he's in the zone. Man, you have got to get those players together and win that thing while the winning is good. So the big thing is going to be, what does the defense look like coming out of What does the defense look like coming out of the bye week? That's what I'm very interested in. Robert Paulson, I like the comment here. Let's just bring this up. I'm sorry, let me bring this up here. Robert Paulson says, no shame in admitting your safety suck now. They were good for years. They've fallen victim of too much burden lately. Robert Paulson, I like that comment, bro. I don't think they want to admit those safeties are bad. I don't think they want to admit it. But I am hearing that the Cowboys are interested in Quandre Diggs. I'm hearing they're interested in Quandre Diggs. Now, we think about, I see Miss Matrix talking about we can't stop the run. But let's think about what we're doing now. So the Cowboys are running a 5-man front. Quinnen Williams, whatever the combination they use of Quinnen Williams, Kenny Clark, also Diggy Zua, Solomon Thomas, yada, yada, yada. Well, the Cowboys should absolutely be able to stop the run now. And if the Cowboys can't stop the run with Quinnen Williams added to it, Quinnen Williams is one of the best run stoppers in this league. He not only takes two double teams, but he not only takes double teams, but he destroys double teams, plays through double teams. And so when you start talking about Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams, now the Cowboys are going to be able to stop the run. They're not only going to be able to stop the run, it's going to make the pass rush better. And if it makes the pass rush better, then everything starts to get better incrementally on the middle of the field. Wilson is going to be good. Him and Overshown together are going to be good. And then that's going to help the secondary. They're going to get that half step more to be able to cover. I think when you start talking about Elam, Savon Revel Jr., Kalen Carson, I think the Cowboys are going to be a little bit better on the back end. I just don't know how much better. No, they're going to be good. They are going to be, I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to be good. How good is the question? How much better are they going to be is the question with the Cowboys. So that's what I'm very, very interested to see as the Cowboys come out of the bye week. But I'll tell y'all this. Don't sleep on this either. Don't sleep on this. The last 2 live streams I've done post-game show, people have not been too happy about the fact. My concern wasn't the defense because the defense was already bad. When something is already bad, okay, I know what that is. My biggest concern is I showed it today on the first live stream, how bad the Cowboys' offenses looked. They've averaged 13 points. The starting lineup has averaged 13 points over the last 2 games. 2 of the touchdowns of the last 2 games have come in literal garbage time. I'm telling this, man, the offense is what I'm concerned about. I'm wanting to know if Brian Schottenheimer can get this offense back on track because I'm just telling y'all, the Brian Schottenheimer, stopping Brian Schottenheimer at this point in time has become it's very simple. It's very simple. Even Big Ron Bowski talked about it. It's very simple. Let me tell you how you stop the Cowboys. Big Ron Bowski, tell me if I'm wrong. This is kind of what you talked about a few days ago. This is how you stop the Cowboys. Stop their power run game inside because we don't have an outside run game. Our run game, we're trying to do a power inside run game. You crash the Cowboys' defensive line. You stop the power run game that Brian Schottenheimer wants to run. We have no outside run game. He don't want to do any outside runs. He likes big backs. Well, if you like big backs, you're going to die with big backs. Because if you don't have another running back that can help you eat the edges up, if you don't have a speed piece out there, because I said it today, a lot of people aren't realizing this. The Cowboys are lacking speed on offense. And not so much they're missing it, they're not utilizing what speed they have. By putting Kevontae Turpin at the 3rd wide receiver spot, what is Kevontae Turpin doing for you playing him as a traditional 3rd receiver? He's 5'7", 155 pounds, soaking wet. What is he doing for you? If he's running shallow crosses, tell me how can you see him? You're not running him on deep crosses. You're not running him on go routes. You're not running him on deep post routes. You're not letting him clear out the safeties. You're not letting him take cornerbacks with him. What are you doing with Kevontae Turpin? Kevontae Turpin, you're not even using his speed. Robert Paulson, you can forget about it. They don't even know how to use Hunter Lipke. They don't even know how to use Hunter Lipke. I like them using him at the fullback position, but I think you got to get him a little bit involved in the offense too. The Cowboys are not utilizing the speed. Jaden Blue, you don't have to run in between the tackles. Stop trying to make him into Javonte Williams. Get him on the edges. Get him in the screen game. Put him in the slot at wide receiver. Get that speed in space. The Cowboys are lacking speed or the use thereof. And they won't feed George Pickens when no defense has an answer for him yet. Let me go back and finish. Brian Schottenheimer is easy to stop at this point in time. Teams have figured him out. You stop his inside power run game. We're not utilizing speed, so we're not going to beat you on the edges. We're going to try to run some dumb jet sweep with CeeDee Lamb, and it's getting stopped and pulverized. So if I stop his inside power run game, he's going to go away from the run for a moment, and then we're going to cover everything deep because we can't block. We don't have the play action working for us. We can't block on the edges. So Dak Prescott is trying to get the ball out of his hands in 1.1 seconds. So if you're going to drop back and try to get the ball out of your hand in 1.1 seconds, you're not going to throw anything deep. You're throwing everything short and underneath. So if you're telling me that I can just keep you short and underneath with CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, and Jake Ferguson, if I can keep you short and underneath, and I'm going to stop you from running the ball, that is the result of these points that we've been seeing. That's what you're seeing. Teams have figured out Brian Schottenheimer. So Brian has got to figure out now how to do what he did in 2023. It was Brian Schottenheimer who put those wrinkles in Mike McCarthy's offense in 2023 that made them take off after the Los Angeles Chargers game. So he got to do the same thing now. He has got to figure out ways to utilize speed. I'm telling y'all right now, if you have a lack of speed on your offense, you're not going to beat the best teams. You're not beating playoff teams. Speed kills. I don't understand people oh yeah, speed is easy to stop. I don't know what sport you've been playing. I don't know what you've been playing. I'm not saying that you can't stop a person who got speed, but I can tell you this, you're rarely going to catch a person that has speed. Yeah, you're not catching a person that has speed. You get a person with speed and space, and he get 2 steps on somebody. It's over. Bye. See you later. We don't utilize speed. And because of that, we do these, we try to do these long drives and all this little stuff, and we wind up making mistakes. Rombowski said, stop the Dallas run game, and then just keep the chains moving against the Dallas defense. No big plays. Chew up the clock and keep Dak and the Dallas offense on the sidelines. The lunatic, you're exactly right. Speed kills except when it's inactive game day. Don't make sense. Doesn't make sense. And these last 2 games, the defense was already bad. I mean, the defense has rolled the proverbial gutter ball. I mean, with Quinnen Williams, Logan Wilson, and with some of these players coming back, it really can't help but to be better. But the offense, unconcerned. I'm concerned because the last 2 teams we've played, they figured out Brian Schottenheimer. It was one thing when the Denver Broncos did it. It's a whole nother discussion for me when the Arizona Cardinals do it. When the Arizona Cardinals figure, I'm concerned. The offense has got to do better. The offense has got to do better. So I'm very interested in what does Brad Schottenheimer look like coming out of the bye week. I'm very interested to see what he looks like. And that is going to set the pace for this entire thing. And again, man, I'm really hoping the Cowboys, I'm going to go back and compile this list and put some stuff together on it and kind of drop it again tomorrow. My top 10 things I want to see the Cowboys doing after they come coming out of the bye week. My top 10 things, I mentioned them today. Dedicate this season to Marshawn Nealon. That's number 1. Number 2 is beat the Raiders. Number 3, I want the defense to be much improved when they return. And if I'm the Cowboys, number 4, Brian Schottenheimer, get out of the defensive room and get back in the offensive room. Get the play calling, get creative with the play calling, and get this thing back together. And tell Matt Eberflus, you got players now, bro. We're not putting up with this. I'm not going to spend all my time in that room. You're being put on notice. If we come out this bye week and we go 0-4 in the next 4 games, Matt Eberflus, you're out of here. So Brian Schottenheimer, get back to coaching the offense. Get out of that defense room. Number 5, the Cowboys have got to go back to scoring 30 points or more. The strength of the Cowboys team is their offense, or it's supposed to be. You got George Pickens on this team. You got CeeDee Lamb, Spanford, Jake Ferguson, Gavontae Turpin, Ryan Flanoy. And I'm telling you, I'm going to go back and put an addendum on this. They need to let Ryan Flanoy play the 3rd wide receiver. Ryan Flanoy needs to be the 3rd wide receiver. Period. End of story. I'm not opposed to Gavontae Turpin playing on the offense. But if you're going to play him on the offense, can we get him out there and utilize his speed like we used to try to do? Get him out there. Get him into some deep. Let him do some goal routes. Take some safeties with him. And then bring somebody underneath. Bring Pickens underneath that. I mean, run him on some deep post routes. I mean, do some of those type of things. But to have him out there playing like a traditional 3rd wide receiver, running digs and short outs and shallow crosses, come on, man. He's not a traditional wide receiver. Dak Prescott threw a ball to him just this past week, and it would have been a chain mover, and he didn't catch it. Didn't catch it. But again, get back to scoring 30 points a game. Get the run game more versatile. More versatile, because I'm telling you, telegraphing to teams that all you want to do is a power run game, a lot of teams will take that challenge. A lot of teams will take that challenge. And the way this league is built now, people are built. Teams are built to stop power run games these days. You got to be a little bit more creative in your run game. We're not the 92, 93, 94, 95 Cowboys to where we line up in front of teams and say, we're going to run the ball to the left and you can't stop us. We have not got there yet. I mean, the left and the right tackles are very shaky. The left and the right tackles are very shaky, and from time to time, even our guards get beat. So he's got to get a lot more creative in the run game. And I think the element that he needs is to utilize some speed on the edges, because if teams are going to take away the middle of the run game from you, then they pretty much stop Brian Schottenheimer. So he's got to get more versatile in the run game. And that's where I got number 7. Stop fighting the funk and acclimate Jaden Blue. Bro, you have got to utilize the speed you have on this team. Number 8, they need to feed George Pickens. Stop all of this trying to divvy up the passes between CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, and you want to make sure they're both satisfied. Bro, teams don't have an answer for George Pickens right now. And if they don't have an answer for George Pickens until they get an answer for him, feed George Pickens. You can still get CeeDee Lamb acclimated in that too and still let CeeDee Lamb get his. But I would make teams take George Pickens away. And then when I make them take George Pickens away, then I'm going to start tearing them up with CeeDee Lamb. There is no way any defense should be stopping the Cowboys with a top 3 wide receiver duo. There is something wrong with that picture. Number 9, start talking to George Pickens now about that contract. Start talking to George Pickens now. Get that contract done. Number 10, I say sign Brevin Stanford. Sign Brevin. Sign. I was reading some. Spanford. No, sign Stephon Gilmore. If I'm the Cowboys, number 10, I would sign Stephon Gilmore. Number 11, if I were the Cowboys, I would kick the tires on Quandre Diggs, and I would be looking at Quandre Diggs if I were the Cowboys. I really would. Chanel said, G, you can't say Flanoy is your third wide receiver when Jerry gave up a 4 for the big body receiver named Mingo, not Bingo. Mingo will be your third receiver. Jerry will have his way. I can tell you this. Flanoy's played his butt off. So I really want to see what he does. But, hey, I can tell you this too, Chanel. Mingo's been healthy the last 2 weeks, and the Cowboys still have made him a healthy scratch. I think that's because Flanoy's played so good. Rose, what up, Rose? He said, would you take a tackle in the first round? Man, you know what, Rose? I don't know if I'd take a tackle in the first round per se. But what I would consider doing, if I were the Cowboys, I would consider trading. Because, man, it's hard to bring in a left tackle into the league to protect your quarterback's blind side. And you're just going to throw him out there and say, okay, you're a rookie. We just want you to start balling. That is tough. That's tough, man. I'm just being honest with you. That's a tall glass to fill. I'm being honest. If I were the Cowboys, I would consider trading. Again, I would consider trading for one. If somebody has one out there that's a top tier left tackle, I would consider trading. But if not, if I were the Cowboys, I probably would be thinking about what's the alternative out there at left tackle in the draft. I would consider it. Because I'm telling us right now, we're just going to have to admit it, man. Our tackles are not good right now. Them tackles are not good right now. Cecilia, I appreciate you. God wants everyone to have someone. Don't wait until you're old. Time moves quickly. Yeah, time does. I agree with you. Ryan says, Chanel, we haven't even gotten an update on Mingo. I don't feel like they'll play him at this point. He's been a healthy scratch. Mingo's been ready. I think Brian even talked about it. Mingo's been ready. They've decided to hold him out. So, but he's going to have to play his butt off because I'm telling you now, Ryan Flanoy's been balling. The Lunatic said, Quandre Diggs got options. He sees our 4% playoff probability also. Yeah. I think he's cleared waivers, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, the Lunatic. I tell you what though, I heard something today that was kind of funny. The Lunatic. They were saying that there was actually a bidding war for Quinnen Williams, and the Cowboys won. Yep, they said the Cowboys actually outbid teams for Quinnen Williams. Wow, boy, it's not often that you hear that the Cowboys outbid anybody for a player. All right, guys, I appreciate you on Cowboys After Dark. I'm going to try to get back to this as the season goes on. We're going to continue on the road to the playoffs. I'm going to continue that season. I'm going to continue that series until the Cowboys are absolutely eliminated. But yeah, man, them doggone Green Bay Packers. Boy, I am so disappointed. They didn't help us out none. None. I thought them boys was going to help us out tonight. I really thought Green Bay was going to knock off the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles, man, the Eagles are a dangerous team. The Eagles are the type of team, they don't care how they win, and that's dangerous. They don't care that their quarterback's not throwing for 200 yards when they win. They don't care if the running back is not running for 100 yards. The Eagles don't care how they win games. All they want to do is win games. Them boys be clawing and fighting, man. They claw and fight to win games. I'm gonna tell y'all something. I don't mind winning games like that. I wish we get to that point. I don't care how we win games, as long as we win it. I don't care how we win them. Delano Tick, he said we win the next 2 games, and our playoff probability jumps to 16%. I think we win the next 2. I think we win the next 2. Raiders and the Eagles. The tough one is going to be, now you're going to have to come off of playing the Eagles and then hit them doggone Kansas City Chiefs, and then you got to roll on to the Detroit Lions in Detroit. Woo, it's going to be tough. Appreciate y'all. We'll be back this morning. I mean, we'll be back today. It's already the 11th, so we'll be back today. I'm pretty sure Brian Schottenheimer have his interview. Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones. Players will be talking about this thing with Marshawn Nealon. They'll be back to practice. And I'm hoping that there is some talk about Quandre Diggs tomorrow. And Azteca, he just dropped in Justin Simmons. Okay. So I'm hoping that we're hearing the Cowboys are continuing to try to improve this team. Ronan the Voice, appreciate your great show. Yes, sir. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button. I'm out of here. Still a hot boy. Cowboys are a dangerous team these days. Like Philadelphia wins by dominating both lines of scrimmage. We have the players to match them now. I agree with you. Looking forward to seeing the Cowboys next Monday night and hearing all the stuff leading up to that game during the week. Y'all make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. If you already haven't, become a channel subscriber. We got a lot of great things coming up this season. Until the next time, DC4L, God bless. Let's talk Cowboys. Yes, Robert Paulson, I'd be remiss if I didn't say Happy Veterans Day. I tell people all the time, Robert, freedom ain't free. Somebody fought and died for freedom. I appreciate y'all. Until the next time, DC4L, God bless. Let's talk Cowboys when we talk facts. Peace.